Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Today, thanks to a very nice suggestion by one of the viewers of this channel, I thought that I would take a look at Volume 2 of DC Comics' Batman Knightfall Omnibus. I have previously done a review of Volume 1, and like I said, a viewer was interested in continuing that, so I thought that, yeah, let's do that. I hadn't done that yet, and that's a good idea. So what this one is, this is Volume 2, the Night Quest storyline. This is, for those of you unfamiliar, the Knightfall series was a very large, very long event series that DC put together, replacing Bruce Wayne as Batman with another character called Jean-Paul Valley. Jean-Paul Valley was the descendant, inheritor, if you will, of his father in the Order of Saint Dumas. And his father was an assassin and passed the mantle of the character of Azrael down to Jean-Paul Valley. And Jean-Paul Valley was programmed in his, brainwashed really, in his fighting and tactical, everything, all the fighting prowess that he had by a brainwashing program called the System. So that's what happened. He ended up, short story, ended up meeting Batman. Batman at the time considered him a very good choice for a successor of the mantle of the Bat, of Batman. And indeed, when Batman fought Bane in the beginning of the series, and Batman was crippled by Bane and unable to fight and operate as Batman, he picked Jean-Paul Valley to be his successor. So that's basically what happened in Omnibus Volume 1. If you want more details, you can view that video, and hopefully you like that one too. On the cover we have Jean-Paul Valley in his Batman armor that he created. Now, why did DC do this? Why did they replace Bruce Wayne, Batman, with a new Batman and someone other than Bruce Wayne? Well, you've got to remember, at the time it was the 1990s. Everything was extreme as far as the trends and culture went. And a lot of the comics and things in popular culture were people who were violent in nature. It's what the fans were wanting. And in the comic circle specifically, I don't know if I would call them heroes, but the anti-heroes had no compunction about killing in their quest for justice and their fight against crime. Well, problem is Batman does not kill. That's not how he operates. He is not a killer. And Denny O'Neil, who was the editor of Batman at the time, had heard the voices of the fans wanting a more violent Batman, a Batman with the times, with it, like all these other anti-heroes. Make him, let's have him kill. Let's have him be violent. He's old hat now. He's stagnant. He's not with the times. That kind of mentality. So Danny O'Neill came up with this character of Azrael, Jean-Paul Valley, to be a successor to Batman, Bruce Wayne. And he gave the fans what they wanted. And turned out that, you know what? They weren't happy with it. That having a Batman who was violent and would kill was really not what they wanted at all, even though they thought they did. So that's kind of the backstory. If you got the first volume, you really need volume 2, because it continues a story. At the end of the first volume is where Jean-Paul Valley takes up the mantle of Batman. And this second volume is basically his escapades, adventures, and trials and problems of him being Batman and how other people reacted to him. So, obviously, here's the front cover. It's a very big omnibus. It's as big as the first one. Here's how thick it is. Here's the spine. And it's just a wraparound picture. When this was first published, it retailed for $100. It's out of print now. I've tried looking for it in various places online. You can get it. It seemed a little difficult. Maybe some of you who don't have it and want it can have more success than I did. It'll cost about $100 as best I can tell. It's still going for retail, maybe more depending on where you go. A little more expensive, I would say, but a little harder to find. Here we have a splash page of the new Batman right there. And then this is followed by another cover, basically. We have all the credits. Writers were famous writers. Chuck Dixon, Doug Mensch, Alan Grant, Dennis O'Neill, Joe Duffy. A lot of different people collaborated on this. Because like I said, this was a big event. Lasted a long time, went through a lot of DC's different titles, different issues. And as you can see, this is Kelly Jones art from 1993. Night Quest, The Crusade, begins with Detective Comics Batman issue 667. I had this issue. I remember that one. It just starts out with Azrael dealing with images of his patron, Saint Dumas. And he is plagued by this. And that's what drives him. I like here he found, I don't know, the Bat subway car. I don't know that Batman ever used that. That's cool. We got some different villains in here. So he kind of gets around town in this Batmobile subway vehicle. And that's his preferred method. The Robin in these stories is Tim Drake. And of course, Tim can get into the Batcave, and there's the old Batmobile, and there's Robin's Redbird, his vehicle. Of course, Jean-Paul Valley makes it clear that he is not welcome, that he's the Batman, and he does not appreciate Robin being there. He doesn't need his help. He feels like that he's in the way, basically. Here's the first issue of Robin from 1993. Had this one as well. Good conflict between Tim, Robin, and the new Batman. Continues in issue number 2. Robin trying to figure things out, how he's going to deal with the new Batman in town. Here's what I was talking about, where we're like I said, we're getting into different titles. This one is Batman Shadow of the Bat. Alan Grant was the writer of this one. And he's got a character here, a villain called the Tallyman. So yeah, the Tallyman I kind of liked. He was bizarre, but he was interesting. I remember this cover as well. 1993. You know, that's interesting. I was still into comics, even though I was in college. I hadn't quite got out of comics yet, but it was getting towards the end. It really was. And so some of these Night Quest issues were some of them were the last ones that I got. Now here, if you watch my other video of volume 1, that ends, I think it ended with issue 500 of Batman. Here's issue 501. This is the one that takes place right after that issue. Now, I remember the time I was one of those folks who did not support Jean-Paul Valley as Batman. I saw right away that, you know, he was a more extreme, violent, out of control version of Batman. He was not Batman. I also didn't like his costume. I thought it looked... Well, I think if you look back on it, it looks very 90s, which I shouldn't shock me because that's when this took place. But they designed his costume like a typically overdone superhero at the time, and I didn't like that either. And here we start having problems where, like, Batman is wanting to kill Mr. Freeze here. And he's stopped at gunpoint. And it's confusing people because they're like, Batman never acted like this before. Catwoman is the same way. She's able to tell that this new Batman is not the Batman that she knows. Let's see. I had this issue too. Remember that one, Batman 503. Here, this is where Catwoman figures out that this is not Batman in a new costume. She realizes right here that you're not him. And she says it's because the real Batman wouldn't be afraid of her approach and would not suspect her in terrorism or blackmail or anything like that. And the other thing, which I thought was funny, obviously Catwoman is really attracted to Batman and Batman to Catwoman. And she can just tell, you know, Batman reeks of pheromones of attraction. His charisma really, well, it's a turn on for Catwoman, and she's like, you're sterile, you're cold, and you're not him. So there are people that are able to figure out that he's an imposter, and they don't like him. So he and Catwoman do end up fighting. Yeah, I think, and they do end up kind of working together, but it's not really something I think she's doing happily. Now, I don't remember this cover. I do remember, let's see. No, it wasn't this one. There was another issue where Batman, the new Batman, gets to meet the Joker. Maybe it was this issue here. And that was the issue I was waiting for. Because it was this one. I remember having this one. Because the Joker is just such a classic Batman villain. I had wondered, how would Joker react to this new Batman? And his response is interesting too. He notices as Batman is fighting his goons, he's like, but what's this? Something's not right. Something I can't put my finger on. Something's different. The way he moves. The ferocity, the lack of grace, the sheer brutality. And then he realizes it's not him. It's not bloody him. So Joker figures it out. And Batman, the new Batman, obviously captures the Joker. He's not a physical threat to Batman, never really has been. And the new Batman breaks his shoulder, breaks his arm at the elbow, dumps him on the ground, and tells him his reign is over, and he's going to kill him. Shoot him in the back of the head. And the police stop him. And this is the kind of thing that the new Batman is doing. He's doing all the things that the fans thought that they wanted. And it's not cool. You'll find the artwork is all over the place because different artists do the covers, different artists do the pencils. So you may or may not like some of this. I guess it depends on how into the storyline you are. Now, I did not get all of these. I was still into the comics at the time, but I did not buy all of these. One, well, I think financial. I mean, I'm still in college. I don't have that much finances for fun and entertainment, and I certainly didn't want to spend them all on comic books. So I didn't get a lot of these. It was just a matter of finances. DC put so many of these issues out. There was just no way I could afford it. Oh, here's Showcase 94. I never liked Showcase 94. Never liked it, even though I didn't like that they included it on the Batman series. It was kind of like, well, we're just going to make you buy this if you want the storyline, which is essentially what it is. There's Gunhawk. I seem to recall Gunhawk. Maybe I did read that one. Also, I didn't get to go to my local comic shop all the time. I did not have a pull list because I didn't get to go there that often like I did when I was a teenager and had a pull list. So I did miss out on a lot of these because it would just depend when I would go and what he had available. Yeah, and see, he starts the Crusade storyline in this. Oh, I do remember this one here. Let's see. What is this? Yes, this is DC did a Justice League title called Justice League Task Force. And this is issue number 5. And I remember we got Bronze Tiger, Green Arrow, and here's Bruce Wayne in a wheelchair. I had this issue. I remember that because I remember Bruce Wayne had some gas, a little bit of weaponry on his wheelchair. So here we do start to see a recovering Bruce Wayne. He's not down and out permanently. I think the main problem with this event is it just went on too long. I know they were trying to tell a storyline, but my gosh, now we're starting Night Quest The Search. This is the Shadow of the Bat. They created so many stories. I'm not saying they're bad stories. A lot of them are quite good. But I can't help but think they took advantage of this event to do what they're in business of. I mean, let's face it, the comic industry is in business to sell comics. That's what they do. That's where the money is. That's how they're making money. So how do they do this? Well, they've got to have some kind of storyline, event going on that if you want to know what happens, you'll collect and purchase all the issues, and they'll be able to sell all kinds of different titles because the storyline is spread out among so many titles. This one's from 1994, so you can see that the storyline continued from 93 into 94. Here we have Alfred meeting up with Batman in Wayne Manor and not happy. Oh, here's Norm Breakfoyle did the cover art. Like I say, the art's kind of all over the place. Some of it I like, some of it I don't. here we have issue number 7 of Robin, and this was the conclusion of Night Quest. We get to see Robin and Bruce Wayne return to the Batmobile and end up running into Jean-Paul Valley. But Bruce is not completely healed yet, and he can't do anything to reclaim the title of Batman at this point. But Robin goes after him. He's had enough. So this is where this omnibus ends. The storyline is not done. The extras are minimal. We have a variant cover of Detective Comics Batman 675. This is the newsstand cover of Robin issue number 1. This is a Batman poster. Here's a new Batman poster. Here are some sketches by Graham Nolan. Gunhawk. And then we got some pencils of a comic panel. And that's it. So really, it's coming out of its pages here. Hold on. Really, it's not I forgot what I was going to say. Well, I was going to say the extras are not that impressive. But you're buying this for the story, not for the extras, right? So, would you get this? Would I recommend it? I like the first volume better because it was interesting seeing the process of Batman getting beaten down and ultimately defeated, and the new Batman taking over. I'm not sure I quite find these stories as interesting, but that's because I don't like the new Batman. What I do find interesting is people's reaction to him, that even though he's masked, and so's the Bruce Wayne is masked as Batman, people are able to tell that's not him. That's not the real Batman. So there is some interesting things going on in the stories. Just be aware it's very 90s, and if you're a completist and you want to continue the storyline, it's a good thing to get. So if you have the first volume and you want to get this, see if you can seek it out, find it. Like I said, I did find it a few places, a little expensive, but considering the original cover price, it wasn't, if I remember correctly, it wasn't a whole lot more. So if you really want it cheap and you're not worried about the omnibus format, they do have trade paperbacks readily available. So maybe consider that. Or maybe DC will reprint this. I've noticed that just like Marvel, DC is starting to reprint some of their omnibuses. So, maybe wait for that. Maybe they'll do it. But anyway, I appreciate you watching. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.